Hey everybody, it's January 25th. It's a Monday. It's the feast of the conversion of St. Paul. And this is one of my favorite for the conversion stories or incidents in the scripture, Paul coming a Christ follower. And so I read to you here from the Acts of Apostles, chapter 22. All right. On that journey, as I drew near to Damascus about noon, a great light from the sky suddenly shone around me. I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to me, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" I replied, "Who are you, sir?" And he said to me, "I am Jesus the Nazarene, whom you are persecuting." My companions saw the light, but did not hear the voice of the one who spoke to me. I asked, "What shall I do, sir?" The Lord answered me, "Get up and go to Damascus, and there you'll be told about everything appointed for you to do." Since I could see nothing because of the brightness of that light, I was led by hand by my companions, and I entered Damascus. A certain Ananias, a devout observer of the law, and highly spoken of all by the Jews who lived there, came to me and stood there and said, "Saul, my brother, regain your sight." At the very moment I regained my sight and saw him. The word of the Lord. Oh, what an account. He's on his way to haul in Christians, to have them in prison. As you see on the way, what happens? He gets knocked down. He's blinded. He's blinded, taken to a place called Straight Street. And then Ananias, one we just heard about, it's like the old Western movies. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, that's what's taking place. Saul's getting knocked down, and the short movie would say, meanwhile, back at Damascus, there's Ananias. He gets a vision, says, "I want you to go and to pray over this fellow Saul." He goes, "I ain't going there. That guy's after us." They said, "No." God says, "This is the one whom I've chosen." So with trepidation, but in obedience, Ananias goes. He prays over Saul, who becomes Paul, and he can see once again. By the way, it's interesting. You see up there it says 911 Straight Street. Interesting, isn't it? Straight Street is where they took Paul when he was blinded, when he was knocked down. What's 911, 911? It was chapter 9, verse 11 that says, took him to Straight Street. Sort of fitting, isn't it? It's an emergency. 911. Just worked. I never knew that till I put this little thing together. Straight Street. And the conversion of St. Paul means that anybody can turn their life over to the Lord. And why do I believe that Jesus rose from the dead? Because of Paul. He saw Christ. No one will go through what he went through if they did not experience the presence of Christ. Not being stoned, not being whipped, not being in prison, and being put to death. Not for a figment of my imagination. Christ spoke to him and he changed his life. And so maybe we won't have that same experience probably. And we're probably grateful that we don't. Be a lot to handle. But we're called to Christ. We're called to live for him. So maybe have that zeal of St. Paul and bring others who are desperately in need to hear the message of the good news. God bless you and be converted like Paul.